Hello everyone, Nordic Beast here, and welcome back to the Shipyard. So I've delayed too long in posting because I'm still not editing yet. I still haven't quite figured out the editing software, but fuck it, I need to post. Space Putz has been wanting me to post my episode on his modified versions of my ships for quite some time, and I'm sorry to keep you waiting, Putz. It is here now. I had recorded it, but it was like half an hour long. I tried to record it, re-record it again. Turned out to be 2 minutes longer. So I am going to do this again, and I'm just going to get to the main points of everything instead of droning on like I am doing right this moment. So let's get started. We're going to go ahead and start with the Balder here. So with the Balder externally, it's almost identical. He added, Space Putz I mean, he added a collector here. I'm not quite sure why. Perhaps it's from survival, being able to just drop in what you need. And then back here, I noticed a hydrogen thruster. I don't know why. It accelerates pretty well, but I have no issue with it. Why not have a little bit of afterburner? Especially a ship like this, because it's not meant for heavy combat. It's an escort ship. It's a destroyer. It's meant to either fight ships its own size, escort larger ships to be part of a fleet, or to take on something smaller like fighters and things of that nature. On its own, it's not really meant to fight other large ships. It's not meant to be independent. In fact, its only heavy armor is on the sides. It's, pretty thick light armor here. I think it's, 2 layers, and then heavy armor. And that's it. It's just meant to take broadsides. And its guns are all high arc and everything. It's really meant to take on, like I said, ships of its class or something smaller. So, alright, let's go ahead and take a look at all the cool things inside. So, I keep having technical issues, so this is actually like my 3rd time trying to record this, so know how much I appreciate you, Putz. Alright, so first off, normally there is 3 cryo bays here, but he took those out and added the air vent here. Now, having gone over this design and then looking at my original, I actually would have put a door here because the reactor's on the other side. I would have done the door here so that you could access all the maintenance area back there, which you'll see in a bit. He was able to open it all up so you could access whatever you need, like for repairs and things. And I would have just put the air vent here. But the way it's set up is still perfectly fine. Sorry, I'm wiggling all around. As you notice, there's a conveyor tube here. That's actually an air vent leading oxygen to the upstairs, which I'll show in a minute. So on mine, the med bay is actually up there, but instead he put the med bay here, cryo bays here, as well as like a little rec room area, which is pretty darn cool. So my only issue with this is you can't place this in survival. But I mean, if you're blueprinting it and projecting it, it'll weld just fine, but it irritates me that you can't place like this in survival. Fuck you, Keen. Alright, so anyway. You notice here, there's little maintenance doors here. Open this up. We've got a jump drive, so you can access that, and batteries. I don't remember batteries being in mine, so I don't know if he added that or if mine had batteries internally. I do not recall. It's not a bad idea, though, because this does have solar panels. It'd be good backup. So now, aesthetically, I'm not big on this window. I would have just gone with the armor, to be honest. But, that's just aesthetics. That's just me being picky. So don't listen to me, Putz. I'm crazy. So now, as you notice, got a nice door here. And an air vent. It is nice and pressurized up here. And it is sectioned off from the upstairs. So over here, notice it's got LCD panels and all the seats and everything. I'm not sure why there's a collector here. This one I'm not quite sure about. I don't know what's going on here. So Putz, maybe you can explain that one in the comments down below. So I do like this. There's crew lighting. Turn it on and off. Boop. And then there's also, you can turn on the LCDs. It kind of just rotates through the different things here. Boop. Yeah. So, but I mean, you could add script and things like that. You notice you got the glass here. You can go ahead and come through. So this right here is above where you enter the ship, and as I mentioned before, there's a reactor. So you come in, you notice there's a conveyor block here. This is where that air vent was. He kind of went around the reactor here. So like I said, I would have just put a door there, and it would still allow you to come in here and access all this. Now this is cool. He put all this here, like these the slope armor blocks, so that you can access everything that's inside. So if there's damage, you can get in here to repair it. That is fucking cool. That is really fucking cool. That's a lot more forethought into this design than I had. I think that is so cool. So, Putz, that is awesome. I tip my hat to you, good sir. Now, because of those doors there, the timer block and programmable block were moved up here. I don't like them being up here, to be honest. Again, more of a, I'd rather have had them down here. But, yet again, not that big a deal. So I'm just saying that's how I would have done it differently. But this design is fantastic. I really, really like it. So, alright. Let's go ahead and make my way out. So, earlier I noticed this, and I was like, alright, fore, aft, alright, bridge, crew, CNC, medbay. I'm like, EVA airlock, deck 4. I'm like, what the hell are they talking about? Alright, bridge, I get that. The crew area, and the CIC, the medbay, and all that's down here. I'm like, air, EVA, and what the hell are they? Oh, yeah. There's that down there. Oh, I'm a dummy. I even built the damn ship, and I'm a dummy. Alright, so next up is my SIF design. Now, just so you know, there was a couple extra small ships, like 2 in there and 2 on top of that one over there. But I removed them just because I was having sim speed issues. But I've got a lot of stuff in this world. I do a lot of building and designing and all over the place. And then I realized I had a lot of junk just laying around in here. So I deleted a bunch of stuff. And now I'm kind of going from there. So first off, I was recording this earlier and screwed up, so that's why a lot of this is still open. So the only external difference I noticed were these doors. There's an airlock on either side. I wouldn't have done that, just simply because it's a weak spot. A smart player would spot that, start nailing it with rockets. Which then breaks open the largest area that is pressurized, which is this bottom deck here and this upper deck here, which I'll obviously show in a minute. And it was almost 3 areas, but Space Putz fixed that. So the first thing I noticed that I love is this window and control seat. Holy shit, how did I not think of this before? Even when I started designing the ship, and mind you, this is like 6 months ago, I was trying to think of something to do with that little platform in there, and I did nothing. I was like, maybe a recreational area, I don't know. So then he put in the seating here over the hangar, and that makes so much goddamn sense. I'm an idiot for not thinking of it myself. So, alright, let's go ahead and come in here. So down here, he redesigned this rec area. So I really like what he did with all the seating. Very cool. And by the way, because of the way he redesigned it, allowed him to put glass here. I hadn't realized that the oxygen generators there don't pressurize this room. So technically, had this room depressurized from damage, so would this room, which is bad because this room in here, and can I fuck you, chair? So, and this room up here where the battle bridge is and all that, the CIC, I guess, it's all one room, and it still is, which is fine. It's not that big a deal, but that would have made 3/4 of the ship depressurize almost immediately, or 3/5 actually. So this is all the same, my med and cryo bay. And then the only thing he changed up here was he actually put script on here. So, it's already after 4 a.m. Jesus, I tried starting recording this over an hour ago. So know how much I appreciate you, Sif. Or Sif. Space Putz. This is the Sif. Jesus Christ, I'm tired. I need coffee in my system. So that's pretty much it for the SIF. Again, other than the side doors, I love it. His design changes were very logical and awesome. So, absolutely awesome. So last bit is the Nord class carrier. This is really, really cool. He doesn't like the name, but I think it's fine, the Nord Nord class carrier Mark 1. So it's kind of like an escort carrier design of the Sif, because he became impatient of me posting my my carrier, which I still haven't posted yet. Sorry about that, Putz. My bad. I will get that to you as soon as possible. I promise you. So, first off, was back here he had 2 Salford shuttles, and of course by putting in this landing deck up here, he had to remove the large thruster that was here. So he supplemented that by adding these small thrusters. There's 4 on either side, which is kind of cool just for the Sif in general, because it needs a little bit of redundancy, because the Sif only has 2 thrusters in all directions except for the back. Then it's got 4 and I think 5 smaller thrusters for extra oomph, for acceleration. But otherwise, it's like there's only 2 here, there's 2 on top, 2 on bottom, 2 on either side. So on the regular Sif, I may update it between these 2 designs here to get it to be better. Because, again, all these features are awesome. So first off, you notice there is a blast door deck on either side for up to 8 fighters. And then he redesigned the inside. Alright, if you look over here, when I designed these, obviously, I was very big into using blast doors as landing pads, which is still great. But one of the things I've realized with the way I design my fighters, the connector is flat with the landing gear. So if you connect with the connector, your landing gear doesn't touch the blast door blocks. Well, Space Engineers is a finicky bitch. And sometimes, even after they fix connectors, have the landing gear down there is at least double redundancy to make sure you're not ripping your fighter off and smashing into the back, which is where the jump drive happens to be. Or at least, I think, 2 out of the 3 in the design. So anyway, I would have, like now, if I had designed this now, I would have just continued the heavy armor, which I may redesign. And that's one of the things he did in here, which is good. And he also put a central connector, which I think is smart. So I probably would have done out here just light armor, because light armor is only steel plate. That's it. So you don't have to worry about the metal grids that are in heavy armor, and you get to make sure that the landing gear is down flat. So I do like the design around the connector. That is cool. I was thinking earlier you could have done, or not for this design, but in general, you could do like blast door blocks like this with the collector down below. So say if you have like a miner or something like that, something that drops off material, it's a natural scoop design in a very durable material, the blast door blocks. So, you know, things like that. So, real quick, the side note, this is like I updated the Valkyrie recently, just a couple old design features. It's got the original wing thrusters that I had removed after I found out ion thrusters don't work on planets. Because this came out a few months before, I designed this a few months before the planets came out. Actually, I think it was a month and a half, something like that. Anyway, so I updated some of the aesthetics of the design, re-added the thrusters, because it does land on the moon, which is pretty cool. And then I redesigned the nose, and I used a conveyor block with a camera. As you notice, there's no camera on those 2. There's a little problem I've noticed in stable version right now, which is, hold on, stable 1.149. So, as you notice, camera block on a conveyor. It doesn't matter what's on the conveyor, you edit it, it pops off. You notice that one over there popped off too, because it's on a conveyor block. So for some reason, when you edit a ship that has an item on a conveyor block, it pops off. That is really stupid. I don't like that. So anyway, yeah, the only thing I would have changed out here, light armor blocks. That's just because it's my preference nowadays. That's it. I do like the lights, but holy shit do those cause lag right now. I thought they got rid of the spotlight lag, but no. So, alright, over here, go ahead and hop down. You notice you can just walk right up here. You can get right up to the upper deck. Go ahead and come back down. So to do these decks, obviously you had to remove the missile turrets on the sides, which, yeah, that's fine, it's carrier. You know, just a couple of Gatling turrets, that's all you really need. You got your fighters for defense otherwise. So, you notice he's got the side doors here. Sorry. Which, for this design, this actually makes a lot of sense. Doesn't bother me at all on this one. So here is the coolest part. Look at the briefing area. Oh, I love it. This is so cool. So I've done this on some of my ships before, and like on my Thor. My Thor battleship has a briefing area, and so this is so cool. I really like it. Then he added a much bigger crew area, which I also really enjoy. I think this is cool. It makes a lot of sense. You've got more crew on board, so very, very cool. Let's see here. As you notice, he also did the overlooking thing here. Also, the landing bay in there has an air vent, so you can actually pressurize the internal bay if you want. So, alright, so my last little critiques about this is, again, not big on the glass. That's just my preference. I understand he wanted to widen the bay, or lengthen the bay a little bit, and then he added the air vent here, which, again, perfectly understandable. So, I wouldn't have added the top bays, the top landing bays, for one reason. They're not conveyed. So, they only come to these boxes here. Let's see. Can I? Yep. We can go ahead and take a look inside. So, as you notice, they stop there. And even this one, there's no box. So, shuttles like the Salford, which has 3 medium cargo containers in it, it can carry a good amount of cargo. It's not going to do you any good with these landing bays. I would rather them be either fully functional or just not have them at all. And then you wouldn't have to worry about repositioning the thruster in the back. Honestly, you could land a Salford in this landing bay without too much issue. So I would have just done the Salford internally and just left the top deck as it is. But it does look very nice. I've got no issue with the aesthetics of it. Actually, I really like how Space Putz did the back here. So other than that, I love these. I may actually update both the Sif and the Balder, as well as design my own version of the Nord. I will also put links in the description down below. If you want to download these 3, they are on Space Putz's workshop. So please download them, comment, let them know what you think of them. I really like them. I think they are absolutely fantastic. And again, my only differences are simply just differences in design style. That's it. They work just fine. They're beautiful, and I love them. Honestly, they're probably more effective than the original designs now. Well, not even probably. They certainly are, especially the Boulder. So, alright, I'm going to quit yapping. So, I had 3 new ships here. I know I got 4, but one's an old one. So this one here is the Huskerl. I just started designing a ship, and it was roughly in the style of what I normally build. And originally it was meant as kind of like a combined, like, anti-fighter, anti-large ship, but I was having issues with the missile turrets. So let's go ahead and turn my light on here. Originally, these 2 top turrets you see here, as well as these 2 bottom, were actually rocket turrets. So, but they were pointed away from the ship. But the problem is shooting, again, so here's the center that the weapon fires from, but the rocket turrets have a barrel here and a barrel here. So even if this is aiming forward, they'll still fucking hit this ribbing right here. And they were doing it left and right. I tried it in combat before it was finished. Like, I had roughly the aesthetics of it about done. There was no paint job. The internals weren't done. Just the weapon systems. And I was like, alright, let's test out the weapon systems, see if there's any issues. Every one of the rocket turrets was hitting the ship itself. And I'm like, well, what about all Gatling turrets? That's not a bad idea. And this actually works really, really well. From most angles, you actually get a lot of turrets on target. I also added a bunch of, well, 8. So it's got 8 Gatling turrets, as well as 8 interior turrets that are also set up to attack small ships as well as missiles and anti-personnel. So this thing is meant to, I call it the Aegis. So it's the Huskerl class Aegis frigate. It is about the size of my missile frigate that's still not done. Just there's a lot that goes into it for the missiles, and I guess I just procrastinate because of it. Like, there's a lot of work that goes into getting the missile system to work, and it does, I have to update a lot of the script and stuff like that, so I'll get to it. This is actually, I'd say, roughly the same performance as the SIF down there, but it is smaller. It's, I think, 2.3 million kilograms, so it's half the actual mass, but it's low on directional thrust and stuff. Oh, I forgot. There's also one rocket pod, so it can carry some rockets. Internally, this is an interesting one for me. I used a lot of advanced techniques for this one, but let's start down here. Here's the bridge. Now, the bridge does not have an air vent of its own. I really couldn't get an air vent in here. But you keep the door open, but in case of emergency, like depressurization, boom, you close it, and there's oxygen in here. So you'd have oxygen for quite some time. But as you notice, a lot of heavy armor. So this is the same design principle as my other ships. Heavy armor tube, light armor around it. So now back here, much like my... Oh, well, by the way, this one is very open. It's... again, meant to take on fighters. So I'm not too worried about fighters other than guided missiles breaking through the heavy armor. But like rockets and cannon fire from fighters, no, this thing would take down fighters in a heartbeat. So this is all one pressurized room except for the bridge. But, alright, we'll start engineering down here. As you notice, got a projector, so you can weld up and project. Or project it and weld. There are welders, 4 of them, built into this cluster. Now, this cluster is all me. Alright, this one I designed myself. The previous one, I believe, was designed by Seth. I actually take a look here. This right here. Nope, not that. This one right here. 3x3 LG power pack. I'm pretty sure Seth designed that. I blueprinted it, and I really like the concept of it, which is, again, a bunch of small reactors around small cargo containers and welders. Now, also my gyros are attached to the reactors because the reactors actually have more hit points than heavy armor. So it's more reliable to put them right on there. So here is the 2 air vents for all the oxygen in the ship. Come up here. Now, this is basically a recreational area. I just didn't put any seats or anything in yet. So come in here. You have your crew area. Come back here. This is a maintenance area, so if you need to access anything, access the reactor. You got your cargo components, or pardon me, your cargo containers, not components, and a welder. So, sorry, the changing of seasons, my nose is all stuffed up. If you guys have ever listened to any of my wintertime videos, every winter I get stuffed up. As much as I love winter. So anyway, yeah, that's pretty much it for this design. There's not a whole lot to the inside, so it's a little weird for one of my designs, but it's rather effective. It turned out quite well, and I used some other like aesthetic placements that I've never done before, like these blast door blocks that lead up to the poles. I don't know what the fuck these things are called for the lights and all that, and then the housing around the rocket launcher. Now, the rocket launcher was originally, like, I didn't know if I wanted to keep that or not. And then once I went down to all guns, I'm like, ooh, it needs a little bit of punch in case of an emergency. So I put the rocket pod on it. It's not the most maneuverable ship, but in a pinch, you know, you still have a rocket pod, which does a lot of damage. So, as you notice, also, there's no bridge, no flight bridge, like on a lot of mine. So there are quite a bit of cameras on this thing. So there's one back here. But I really love how this thing turned out. So I'm going to finish it up. All I have to do is just, I got to name the cameras, and I got to set up the console for the, pilot seat. And that's it. It's ready to go. I'm very pleased with this damn thing. And I've got nothing like it. Nothing that has this much Gatling power to be able to take down custom missiles and fighters and rockets. This thing would be perfect for a fleet, like with carriers and things like that. Alright, so next up, This motherfucker don't have a name yet. Sorry, I sounded like Sam Jackson there. But yeah, this does not have a name yet. I will get a name for it eventually. I've been playing on a lot of survival servers lately. I was on one in the UK for a while. It's shut down now. I don't know what happened. Then I started on another one, and it hasn't updated for 3 updates, something like that, because there was two or three patches for this current stable version. But then I realized the NID public server and the NID private server, the NID whitelist server, are both still up. And the netcode has gotten way better. So I hopped on to the... I've been on both recently, actually. So I probably will record on the NID whitelist server again. I really miss being on there. So I was at Nordic Noodle Base and everything, and playing around with stuff, and I'm trying to finish some of my ships that I had half built there. But anyway, I joined the NID public server, the NID Soul it's called, and I've got one ship on there that's mine, and another one that I helped build that is of my design. It's one of my large drill ships. So I realized I wanted an exploration ship. I love exploring and survival. There's no way to describe how fun it feels, even these empty worlds, to be able to design and build something that can go there, and you can actually, explore the worlds and find things and stuff, and especially in a public server where people have things. Now, my raiding days are behind me. Any weapon designs that you guys see me build, I don't really do so much in servers anymore. If somebody wants to raid with my designs, you go right the fuck ahead. I don't mind. But I find it a little bit more fun to be nice to people. It's so hard to find friendly players on servers. Now, on the NID public server, not a big deal. I'm a NID whitelist member. I don't think anybody's going to mess with me. Or like a Fifth or Wizard, other NIDites and such. So, is Wizard actually part of the NID? I've never thought about that. I'm sure he is, but I mean, he might not be. You don't have to play on there. So, but anyway, I digress. This design is meant to be able to go anywhere, literally anywhere. Now, it's a little slapdash for how the thrusters are. I was trying to describe it to Dracul, and yeah, it's small enough that it's kind of hard to put thrusters in there in a pretty way, and so I don't think it's an ugly design, but it's not as pretty as I would have liked it to be. But it can land, it's 500,000 kilograms, just under 500,000 actually, but as you notice, there's a lot of thrusters that are off, but if you turn those on, it can land on a moon, but it has enough atmospheric thrusters to land on any planet with an atmosphere. I've landed on every world, which is also why I'm here at the Mars and Europa moon, simply because I was like, well, let's see if it can land here. And I wanted to explore, so that was the whole purpose of this thing. Alright, show off the inside real quick. It's very, the way I described it to Dracul was, it's Millennium Falcon sized. So yeah, the little door in the back here. Everything is kind of, I don't know, like I had to be very creative to get everything together. So I believe it has 7 small reactors. I got the one back here because I wasn't even done with the design yet, and I was like, alright, I don't know if I'll be able to access those, so I want one I can access. So I put this one here and made sure it was big enough to go around it. These panels are because I believe it's atmospheric thrusters on the other side, or the large, yeah, I think it was the large ion thruster. But still, I needed to put the panels in there to make sure that no air seeped out, because there was a seam there and it wasn't pressurized. I have enough programmable blocks and timers for 2 scripts, which eventually I will add. I have 1 assembler, 1 refinery. God, that refinery takes up a lot of space. Med bay. Oop. The only gyro. I used to have another one on the opposite side. I probably could put that back in. Oh, we'll see how it handles with weight and everything. Got our cryo bays. The oxygen is right here in the middle. Jump drive. It goes the full 2,000 kilometers. Seats. And from here, you can look to either side and see the panels, the LCD panels. So I will be adding script for those. And like I said, this thing can literally land anywhere. Now, I don't know how it'll be with any payload on board. I can imagine it'll still land, but I don't know if it'll take off with a payload of stuff. So I think what I would do, because I'll probably end up posting this once I name it and, get it on the workshop. Oh, by the way, you guys like the pretty blue light I put up there? I thought it matched the light of the jump drive. So anyway, I would put just enough parts in there to be able to build, say, a refinery or something of the like just enough to start with. Say enough for a refinery, a med bay, an assembler, and a reactor. So you got those parts in there. You can land with it, and then you could say start a base. Or if you wanted, it itself is technically a base, have just enough parts to say build a drill ship. So, but it's really meant just for exploration, but you can live on this ship. It's a very small explorer. So I'm quite pleased with it. This would be like, one's first exploring ship. But, you can build something bigger, and I don't mind building big, but I've always built more practical than awesome. And to me, this is a very, very practical ship. It doesn't take a lot of resources, and you can go anywhere with it. So to me, that's pretty cool. That in itself makes it worth building. So, all right, last bit. My Vigan. So this is the first transatmospheric fighter I had posted, or even tried to build, for that matter. And it still holds a special place in my heart, but one of the things I disliked about it was only 2 guns, and only 2 merge blocks. I wanted more, but there wasn't enough room, so I put rockets in there. But the rockets being out in the wings would not allow it to hit other fighters all that well. It also has a second crew member, which his purpose was right in here. There's a camera and an LCD panel, which it uses a radar script, but the radar script only detects what is ever directly in front of the remote block. So it does allow you to range find things, and then the second pilot, or the second crew member, could guide any missiles via antenna from here. It's very cool, but in practice, I guess it's alright, but I figure, why not try and make an improved version? Something that doesn't require a second crew member, something that has more merge blocks and more guns. So that's what this is. This is my updated Vigan. It's larger, but it is actually about 500 kilograms lighter. Not much, but it is lighter. With more thrusters, more guns, more merge blocks, and it has the ability to put 2 scripts in it, which one would be for guided missiles. So as you see here, I added 2 extra guns just right underneath it. I actually think that looks pretty good. I think it turned out alright. I thought it was going to be ugly, but no, I think it looks alright, to be honest. I added longer wingtips. Then you can also add oh, just dawned on me that this here might be an issue. Maybe. But most of my weapons that attach to this don't need anything next. They just take up the 3 block radius. They don't take up anything further. But this can actually handle any weapon that the Swan can. But it only has 4 instead of 5 pylons. The Swan has a 5th one on the back. So, but I added extra lunar thrusters down here. So these extra 6 thrusters allow it to land on the moon. I removed the cockpit in the back, obviously, and I replaced it with extra reactors as well as all my timers and programmable blocks are all in this hump back here. So pretty much this is my avionics area for the aircraft, and then it runs on a single reactor. Now the Vigan over here runs on a single reactor, and then there's 2 batteries in the back. The batteries are mostly for when it's going through its transatmospheric area, or when it's in the atmosphere, because it can't run all the thrusters at once. This removes the batteries, adds small reactors, gives it enough power to actually be able to run everything all at once. So it's quite cool. I think that's pretty much about it. Just the wingtips, the extra the landing thrusters, extra merge blocks, and yeah. This design is so much better. Oh, and on the wingtips, I added decoy blocks. So I got a decoy on either end. The more and more I look at this thing, oh, and I removed the canards that were on the front here. So they're, you notice here, at the little winglets, they're called canards. The more and more I look at it, looks like a Russian Su-27 without a tail. Or like a MiG-29, but the Su-27 is a pretty big plane. Which, pretty much, if you ever look at an Su-27 and MiG-29, they look so much alike. Just the Su-27 is about a third bigger. But it can also carry more payload and things like that. So, anyway, alright, I'm going to quit yapping. I think this is actually around half an hour long, but I got a lot of content in it. So if you guys enjoyed, please hit that like button. And like I said, I will leave links down to Space Putz's versions of my ships. Give them a download, give them a try, give them a comment, let them know what you think. And thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you next time.